Welcome to Sweethearts or Rivals. Today we're going to be doing a video podcast.
Podcast
number 14.
14. Is it 14? It's 14. Podcast 14.
Well, that's still like really young in podcasting.
Still, once a month. That's over a year. Yeah. I think we started this about a year ago.
Huh. Crazy talk.
Nice.
Awesome.
Yeah. So, what are we talking about today?
Today we're looking back at 2 months.
Yes.
May and June.
Yes, this is true.
Why are we looking back at 2 months?
Because I'm crazy busy.
At this time of the year, because you are a teacher.
Yeah, end of the year is always like being a teacher, you're always crazy busy anyway, but end of the year, it's like crazy on top of crazy busy.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, number 1, it was just time to even like record one.
Yeah.
But number 2, like, you didn't have much time to play games in the last 2 months.
No. A lot of the stuff that we normally do, like, have time for research and gaming and all that stuff, no time for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, we are going to combine 2 months for the price of one.
Right.
Yeah.
What did we acquire in May?
Nothing!
Yeah, we didn't get... Yeah.
Nope.
Even though we didn't purchase any games in the month of May, we did enter a contest.
That's right.
And did we win anything?
We did.
We were a runner-up. The Passport Game Studios Adventure Awaits contest.
Yeah, that was cool.
So that was awesome.
Yeah.
And what did we get to do about prizes?
We got to choose 2 games from their catalog, which was awesome.
I know, like any 2 games we wanted, we got to choose.
Which was kind of funny because went in the contest going, ooh, I would really like to get Kingsport Festival. And you really wanted to get...
El Gaucho.
Yes. And then we ended up getting...
We ended up with... I picked Yunnan.
Yeah. And I got Versailles.
Right.
And I think what changed that was we were looking at the time when we won, we were playing a lot of dice allocation games already. Mm. So I think that's why we kind of went away from El Gaucho.
I think so.
Yeah.
But we're looking at their catalog and we're like, I haven't heard much on this Yunnan game.
Yeah.
So we watched a playthrough and oh my.
That looks interesting.
It instantly switched my mind.
And then I really wanted Kingsport Festival, like kind of like the gameplay of Kingsburg, but streamlined, better mechanics is what I've heard. Theme. And then on top of that, a Cthulhu theme. Yeah, let's get that. And it's 3-player only. 3 up.
Right.
And we're just like, oh, wow, no.
Technically, though, Yunnan is a 3 and up.
Yes. Which is ironic.
Yeah. Right. Which El Gaucho, I don't think was.
Yeah.
Anyway. We'll have to see if we might have played those in the month of June or May. Yeah.
So, we won those in May.
Right, but we didn't receive them until June.
There we go.
And thank you so much, Passport Game Studios.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's cool. All right, so that was May, which means June we acquired...
Well, the games came in from Passport.
True.
And then we made a purchase.
Yes.
So we purchased 4 things.
Mm-hmm.
We got to get Daxu. Which is a 2-player game, and I was very excited.
By the same designer as Gold West. Yeah. We like that game a lot.
Yeah.
Cool.
And we also got Glenmore.
I think technically we bought Glenmore in May.
We could have bought it. It's just when we ship all, that one, we didn't want to just ship Glenmore.
It was on sale and I nabbed it and put it on hold until the order could be finished. So it was sitting there, unfortunately, for quite a while.
Yeah, a little bit. But thankfully, Board Game Bliss is really generous, and they do allow you to hold games until you get a little bit bundled, so that the 14 or whatever shipping is a little bit better than just paying it on one game.
Yeah, which is awesome. Yeah. What else did we get?
We got Caruba.
Yes, we did.
I was really excited to get that because it's a tile laying game. Mm-hmm. And we talked about it on previous podcasts about it being on our radar.
Yeah.
And why it came on our radar and how we misunderstood the whole concept of the game, and that's why it wasn't on our radar sooner.
Yeah.
So I'm excited that we got it now.
Yeah. And I was like, okay. But I was just like, oh, okay.
I know. It's Haba, so it's good for younger ages as well.
Yeah.
But surprising, I mean, you'll find out.
We have played it. We will get back to it later.
Right.
What else do we get?
What else?
We got the expansion for Imperial Settlers in Atlanteans. We got a new faction, I guess you could call it. Mm-hmm. Civilization, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Imperial Settlers, we played that quite a bit lately. And so I'm really excited to get another
to try a new faction. Yeah.
And then when we were getting it, I was thinking, okay, let's get another faction and not get any of the little add-on packs.
Yeah.
Because if we get add-on packs and then we get another faction, is that faction going to have the add-on packs added to it and blah, blah, blah? Come to find out, it does. So if you get Atlanteans, it comes with cards to add on top of the expansion that came in between the base game and Atlanteans.
Awesome.
And then if you get the one that's after Atlanteans, it comes with cards for all 5 factions.
The Aztecs.
No. The number 3 or something like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But then if you get Aztecs, which was just announced, it'll have cards included for all the the non-faction expansions.
Yeah. I was thinking it was ready, but I think the things I saw was pre-orders.
Yeah.
But when I keep seeing the box cover, I just automatically think it's ready to be purchased.
I was worried that you would have to sit there and think, which are we going to play with, and then have to rearrange decks every time you did that, and you don't.
That's awesome.
You can just open it up and take everything out and play.
Awesome.
Yeah, so
just how you like it.
Looking forward to more getting some of those other expansions for it. Definitely.
Yeah.
Cool. What's next?
We're going to see what we played in the month of May and June.
What did we play?
Well, we did play a lot of games in May, but a lot of them were the ones we already talked about on our last podcast.
Yeah.
So we'll probably just skip over those, like being Seven Wonders Duel, Signore, Imperial Settlers.
Yeah.
Which we've talked about great length the previous podcast.
True.
And then we also in May played Last Will, Discoveries, and Suburbia with Suburbia Inc.
Right.
Which we did just do videos, playthroughs, and reviews for on the channel. So I think we'll probably skip over those games as well.
Done.
So that was May. But in June, we had that great big package of games that we got.
Right.
So what did we play out of that?
What did we play? Let's see. We played Daxu.
We did.
Which is a 2-player only game.
Yeah, and it's very fast.
Yeah.
So we played it quite a few times.
And it's a lot of mind games.
Kind of, because it's got... You have a hand of cards, and you're going to have that hand every turn.
Yeah.
You have the same 4 cards, and I have the same 4 cards.
Yeah.
And then which cards are we going to play to see?
Yeah. And
what happens with like the pot of cards that you're like kind of bidding on.
And that's where all the mind games in. It's just like, okay, obviously Charla wants that, and I don't. So I should do this so that she doesn't get it, but then she's going to think, am I going to think that she's going to do that so that I do get it, so I should do this, which we're going to do this. It's like there's 4 choices, but every one of those choices has like 15 different like consequences that you have to figure out. And thank goodness it is only a 2-player game, because it would not work.
Oh, no, it wouldn't at all.
As soon as you go past 2 players, all those mind games become so exponentially more difficult to figure out. It just wouldn't work. So, but that just me against you, it's like, okay.
Yeah. It's totally the whole who's the most immune to the iocane powder, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It's awesome.
Yeah.
And quick and fun, and yeah, it's a good game.
Yeah. I enjoy it a lot.
Yeah.
And the whole thing about the game, like, it's a street, and then you've got vendors on every side, so you're going to gather points depending on how many cards you have more of or less of than your opponent.
Yeah.
So it's very tricky. Like, we'll be doing a playthrough very soon for that one.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Very good game. Really enjoying it. Cool. What else did we play?
We played Caruba.
Caruba, right.
And we got to play it with 2 players and 4 players.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yep.
And I don't know, I guess looking at it, it seemed too simple.
It seemed simple on the outside.
That was one of the reasons why I wasn't like really excited for it. It just seemed like too simple of a game, but it's not.
Yeah, in concept it seems really simple.
Yeah.
Just the mechanics of it are very straightforward.
Yep.
But there's a lot of deep thinking you can do to really optimize the placement of your tiles.
Yeah.
And then also it's got that whole thing where you get to see, like, everyone's got the same tiles in front of them, but there's the one player that's like going to pull them off the stack or pull them out of a draw bag. So there's some randomness there too. So you're kind of like betting a little bit, like, oh, should I use this one for movement or should I use it for placement? I don't know. And it's got some really good decisions.
I really like the idea, especially when you're playing like 3 or 4 players, where everybody has the exact same problem to solve, the exact same puzzle, and yet at the end of the game, everybody has like tried to solve it in a very different way.
Yeah.
And which player has solved it best?
And the most optimal.
That's very neat. So again, it seems very simple.
And it's funny because on the previous podcast we talked about how we misunderstood the game totally because there's 4 different colors, and I was thinking it was player colors.
Yeah, and it's not.
But it's not because that's what it is. The puzzle is you've got to get your blue person to your blue temple. And everyone's board is set up the exact same way.
Yeah, so everyone's blue person starts in the same place, and their blue temple is in the exact same place for every player.
Right.
But
you're not playing blue.
Yeah. And everyone's actually, like, every turn, everyone is playing the exact same tile even.
Right.
But at the same time...
It depends on where they place it.
Yeah, everything you can do with that same tile, everyone's solving the problem in a different way.
Yeah.
It's very, very unique
it's
and kind of ingenious.
Like a social experiment kind of thing.
Yeah, it's very cool.
It's a good school game.
Yeah,
to
definitely.
bring to school.
Yeah. Next year, we'll raise some money and buy it for the game club.
They're not going to play our copy.
No.
Sorry, well, they could borrow it maybe, but
maybe we'll see. Anyway.
They get the game so dirty.
Yeah, they do.
I know.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So that was Caruba. What else did we play? We played Glenmore, which had been sitting on hold for some time and finally came in. I had to download and print off some English instructions because we had an import. It was all in German.
But it's worth it because it's language independent other than the rules.
Yeah. And then there's...
the tiles have names on them, but it's fun to try to pronounce those different names.
Yeah. There's there are special tiles that have like a tile that goes with the tile, which seems kind of weird, but even those, the iconography is pretty straightforward.
It is.
You might have to look up 1 or 2 things. So if you're ever thinking about, ooh, Glenmore, that's great, but I can't find it in English, don't worry about it. Get it in any language you want. It works all the time. What did you think of Glenmore?
I like Glenmore. I always like the mechanic of how they do the buying.
Yeah.
Like it's around a track like this, and then the person who's in last place gets to buy whatever they want. So they could buy the very first thing, or they could skip right ahead to the end if they wanted.
Yeah.
So I find those decisions are always awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. It's fun. Although it's interesting because the first time we played, we didn't realize the game was about to end.
Yeah.
And so...
It ends faster than you think it's going to.
By the time you realize, oh wait, this is my last movement, I should be really looking way ahead because we tend to like not go too far ahead because that gives everyone a whole bunch of extra points.
But I think it's knowing when you should skip way far ahead is the trick to that game. It's going to be a while though, I think, before I'm ready to play this one on camera because of how you place your tiles. You can only place them next to your little meeples.
Yeah.
And then knowing where to place them and how to position your meeples to get your right tiles to trigger to do the other, like get the right goods that you need to purchase the tiles that you're looking for on the board. That's a lot of coordination.
There's like several levels of spatial coordination puzzle in that little tiny game. Yeah.
And those are the kind of games that I really like because it gives me just enough levels to coordinate and I don't get too overwhelmed by it.
Yeah.
But once you get it and you're going along really good and everything's working out, it's very satisfying.
Yeah, it's a really good game. I'm glad we picked it up. Looking at it, it doesn't look like much of anything at all. But the game itself, like all the mechanisms, work so well.
Yes.
It's very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
awesome
liked it a lot.
Yeah.
So far, so good.
Yeah. And then, of course, the 2 games we got from Passport, Yunnan and Versailles. We have not played Versailles yet.
Not yet.
But we have played a couple of games of Yunnan.
We have, and I think we would have played Versailles, but we've been so enamored with Yunnan that we just keep playing it.
Yeah. We sat down, when I was reading the instructions, I read through the 2-player variant that was suggested by Rado. And so I wrote that down and we tried a couple of games of that. And that's where you block off certain levels of each of the progress buildings. You have the inspector only knock you back a couple of provinces instead of all the way to the back. That kind of stuff. And the bank pays out a lot more.
Right, and you only play with 2 colors instead of each taking 2 colors.
Right. So you have your color and my color instead of there being 4 colors. So we tried that, and it works well as a 2-player game, especially if you're not used to the game.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a good way as like an intro to the game and how it works.
Yeah, especially if you're only going to get to play with 2 players at the start.
Yeah. But I do find it lacks something with the bidding, because I found that playing it like that, even with blocking off certain places, most of the bidding was, I'm going to bid 5. Okay, you're going to bid 5 on something else. I'm going to bid 5 on something else. Well, that's all the people we have anyway.
Yes.
Let's move on to making money.
Right.
Yeah. So it's interesting. We didn't really get into a whole lot. A little bit every now and then, but not a lot of bidding war in the auction phase.
Yeah, because there's so many bidding houses to choose from.
Yeah. Then we decided to try it with the official 2-player rules, which is you play the game just like a regular game. Just like a regular 4-player game. Except I have 2 colors and you have 2 colors with their own buildings, with their own people, with their own money.
Yeah.
The only thing that combines is anytime you score points for either of those colors, you get the points. So you only have 1 scoring marker.
Right.
But I mean, you can mess with your own pieces by accident.
Yeah.
And so I found that there was a whole lot more going on in the auction.
Yes.
Because we had so many more pieces. But it is a lot.
It's a lot to keep track of.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think out of the 2 ways that we've played, I think that's the official 2-player variant is the optimal way to play it.
Yeah.
I think.
You get more of a feel of what the game is supposed to be. But if you're learning the game, play a couple of games using the Rado variant.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think really, like I should say, the optimal way to play it probably is to play it with more than 2 players.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if you've only got 2 players and you're used to the game, I would probably stick with the official variant.
Yeah.
Even though it is a lot to keep track of.
Well, it's
funny.
funny.
And I got lost along the way.
Yeah.
That game we played. We'll have to play it again though. Soon.
Yeah. It's funny because when you open up the box, there's so few components. You got your player colors. And there's not a lot of items for each player color. Your money, and then a couple of tokens, and that's it. Like there's not a lot, but anytime you do something in the game, you don't have to think of, well, if I do this, it's going to mean this obvious outcome. It's going to mean that plus 3 or 4 other possible outcomes. So that's why I think the game is so tricky to play, especially if you have to keep track of 2 different player colors.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of hidden interconnectivity throughout the game, and it can be very tricky. There's a lot of timing stuff that also happens in the game that's really hard to master.
And I think that could be a reason why we really wanted to play it a lot.
Yeah.
Because it's going to have a lot of replayability for those reasons.
Yeah. Yeah. Every time you play it, you definitely feel like you're getting better. But I think also it's going to end up being one of those games that if we get really comfortable with it and then try to teach it to new people, they're going to be slammed.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, because there's a bit of a steep learning curve to that game. But it's very fun and cool to play.
Yeah, I like it. So far, so good. Yeah.
There's an expansion on the Board Game Geek for it that adds a little tiny card.
Is there really?
And what you do is it's another progress building. And if you get that, basically it triggers as like a wild card of any other of the progress buildings you've already gotten. So if you've got one guy over here for a horse and you've got that building, you can do 2 horses in 1 round. Yeah. And there's another one, but the other one's not very good.
We should order it.
Yeah, we're definitely going to have to order that one.
We'll have to wait and see if our postal thing is going to strike, though.
Yeah, that's true. Anyway. So that was Yunnan. What else did we buy? What else did we play?
We had a chance to play Discoveries with 4 players.
Yes.
So this is like a little appendix to our review.
Yes, because we reviewed it as a 2-player game only.
Right.
Which I guess was a little bit of a mixed review.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I just felt like I could never do anything. Like, it was so hard.
Yeah.
I had such a hard time knowing how to play that game.
Yep.
But with 4 players, like, you couldn't just go ahead and get everything that you wanted and everything worked out perfect for you. There was 3 people messing up with your plan.
Yes.
So
I lost. Like, I was like the lowest point count of all of us. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's one of the reasons that I do so well in the game is I can sit there and go, if I do this, you're going to do this, which means I can do this, which means you're going to do this, which means I can do this. And I can plan 3 or 4 rounds ahead of time. And very rarely do you do something that messes it up.
Predict. Yeah.
As soon as you add more players, that prediction is gone, and I floundered the whole game.
I actually won.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. Because I don't think, like, normally, like, on the playthrough, if you watch that, you know, I hardly had any points, and you had a bazillion.
Yeah. So it becomes a much more tactical game, where you have to kind of be like, okay, so this is the optimal move for this round. Not really thinking about what my next round is going to be.
You're right.
Yeah. Whereas I was used to playing it, planning out strategy-wise 3 rounds like ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was interesting. I actually enjoyed it much better.
So
with more
did
players.
I.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's not the greatest 2-player game.
Yeah.
But I definitely want to keep it.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, I can't remember now in the review if we said we were going to trade or to keep it, and I think I might have said I was indifferent.
Yeah, I think it was kind of like, we don't really know. We'll see how it is with more than 2 players.
Yeah.
Which is what we did.
And now I think I want to keep it for those times when we have game day, because it's an awesome game with more than 2 for sure.
Yeah. And it's easy to set up. It's easy to play. But there's a lot of like really cool strategies that can come about with the different cards. It's an excellent game.
Yeah.
It's just much, much better with more than 2 players.
Way better with 2.
Yeah. So it was good that we had a chance to do that, which was cool. Which means the last game we had a chance to play was...
On the same day, we got to play a 4-player Dead of Winter.
Yeah.
And that's another game that's way better with more players.
It is not a good 2-player game.
No.
At least, we've only played it, I think, once or twice, 2 players.
And I mean, it didn't turn out very good, because every time we turned over one of those crossroads cards, it just happened.
Yeah.
And, like, bad things just kept happening, and it just snowballed and kept getting exponentially worse.
So maybe it was a fluke.
It could have been.
But it didn't seem that enjoyable as a 2-player game. No. But as a 4-player game, 3 or 4 players, or more, I don't know, I'm not sure how much it goes up to. It's 2 to 5.
5.
Yeah. So I think if you're playing it 3, 4, or 5, probably 4 or 5 is like the best.
The best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we have played it a number of times before we bought it, always with the full complement of 5.
Right.
And yeah, 4 and 5 is where it's at. You get the trader mixed in there. You have to constantly question what everyone's doing and why they're doing that. And it just works so much better. Yeah.
Although it's one of those games that you really need to be sitting across from each other. It's not good to sit next to each other, because I accidentally saw some of your cards. And then for the rest of the game, I was like, well, I'm pretty sure Justin's the traitor. But I feel like it's cheating because I accidentally saw some of your cards.
There you go.
So I don't know if I can like really point the finger at traitor.
Now that we have the circular table, which is off camera, you can't see it, we'll have to do that. 4-player, circular, everyone just straight across from each other.
Yeah.
Because I have yet to play Dead of Winter where there was a vote for somebody to be kicked out.
Right.
I've never seen that happen before.
Not yet.
Yeah.
Well, you get so focused on just trying to survive.
True. And I was the traitor, and I actually did maybe one thing to screw over the colony. And it actually messed us up too much, and we all lost.
Yeah.
If I had not have done that, we might have survived just long enough for me to win with you guys all losing.
Yeah.
So sometimes the game itself is just doing more than enough to mess you over. Then the traitor doesn't really have to do anything.
Yeah.
Which is actually kind of a bummer. That's weird.
I found some of the stuff that happened in there so interesting, though.
Yeah.
Crystal ended up getting a horse. That was funny.
Yeah, that was hilarious. Got a horse.
And then I had this character that my secret thing to win was if I could equip 2 things on her. And there was a crossroads card that came out that if my character was in play, that they could send her off to like do some special mission and like get
and never come back.
And right, and I'm thinking, oh, if they do that, then like, because I already had 2 things equipped on her, and it's like, oh man. But no, they voted not to send her away, so that was cool too. Like, it was an interesting game. I like the narrative stories that come out of it the best.
And some of them, like some of the random narrative stories that can come out of those crossroads cards when it works properly, are amazing. We played one game a while ago where we were like 1 round away from winning, and it was my turn, And I decided to go, well, in order for us to win, all I have to do is this one thing. I'll do that. And it triggered the Crossroads card, which meant my character had to go to the school to rescue children. And on her way there, she got a wound. And then when she got there, she had to make this choice. And she made this choice, which caused her morale to go down. And it triggered like 15 like dominoes, which caused us to lose the game. It was hilarious.
And you were just 1 round away from winning.
Yeah. If I hadn't have done the one thing right then and there that we needed to do to win, it wouldn't have triggered any of it.
Right.
And it triggered it all. It was just done.
It's funny.
It was an avalanche, yeah. Very good game.
Good stories.
Yeah. Awesome. So that's what we played. What else do we got?
Usually we talk about what came on our radar.
Yeah, nothing.
You're so blunt.
Because it's funny. There's a reason for that, though.
Yeah, you've been so busy that we really haven't had a chance to watch a lot of media content lately on board games.
Yeah. Even our like stuff that we've played, because we've been so strapped for time, most of our plays have been stuff that we are preparing to shoot for, which is why we can't really talk about a lot of it on here because it's already out there.
Right.
So it's just, luckily there's like, at the time of the recording of this, there's like 3 days of school left, and then finally summer will be here, and we'll be able to finally get a whole bunch more stuff done.
Right.
And then, of course, it is the beginning of
convention season.
Yeah.
And we'll be able to have time to watch all this coverage.
Yeah, Origins. Haven't seen anything from that yet.
Yeah, even though that already happened, we haven't watched a lot of coverage from Origins. Gen Con's around the corner.
Yep.
And then, of course, it's going to be the Essen.
Yeah.
So.
So, lots more stuff will be hitting our radar soon.
Yeah, just not right now.
Yeah. Right on. So, anything else we want to talk about?
I think that's probably a wrap-up.
Cool.
That might be a short and sweet podcast for this time.
There you go.
The 2 combined months for May and June.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks for listening.
Thanks a lot.
We'll talk at you later.
See ya.